Well, I appreciate the heck out of you guys helping me in the garden today. I have been promising for a long while that I was going to finish up this beautiful allium border. Stuart, if you don't mind kind of doing a turn around so people can see the length of the border, but that I was going to finish working up, because working this up and getting it looking really nice, because the alliums and everything will be coming into bloom pretty soon, and I'm almost finished. So I thought I would ask you guys to help me with just a little bit more of the things that need to be done. I didn't require your presence a little bit earlier. I started working without you. But now that you're here, I would have you help me at the other end of this border do what I'm doing here with these hedge clippers. So I am clipping back pretty hard all of this tall phlox. And you may be wondering, well, it hasn't bloomed yet, it's still early in the year, why are you doing that? Well, one of the reasons I'm doing it is because it's already got powdery mildew. The other reason is because I want it to thicken up. I'm doing that Chelsea chop where I'm cutting back perennials early in the season so that they will get thicker, and it will also delay their bloom time. So I've just got my long-handled pruners, and that's making short work of all of this. I've already done it at the other end, and I've come back in, and I have also already cleaned up some of the long stuff, these long vines of this Virginia creeper. I actually like the way the Virginia creeper looks, as you know, climbing across the top, but I don't want it to go down and start growing in my garden beds. So I'm cleaning that up. Now, today I thought it would be fun to introduce you to some of the products that's in my Linda Vater Signature Gardening Collection that's going to be on QVC. Now, I don't know exactly what time, but I'm going to have an hour-long show on May 6th introducing you to some of these products. And I don't even know price points yet. Everything is very fluid because we put this collection together pretty quickly, but as soon as I know details, I will let you know with all sorts of links, etc., directly to the products and to showtime and everything. This is one of them that's in the collection. This is part of my Kobo basket. I just love these lightweight, weatherproof baskets, and you can see that I'm even using it for my garden debris, and they're just wonderful, you guys. I don't care about them getting wet. I don't care about them getting dirty or rotting out at the bottom. In fact, you know me, the dirtier they get, the better I like it. And so these are just wonderful, and I could use this for a pretty purpose, but right now I've got one that I'm just using for a utilitarian purpose to catch my garden debris. Now, you may be wondering why I have all of these boxwood clippings around the base of my boxwood. Well, here's why. Because I just shot a video for Lively lithium power tools, and yes, instead of my long-handled pruners, I use these battery operated hedge shears. Now, I used it on both of these at the ends, and I think they're going to be great. I don't know that I'll be using them yet on the boxwood hedge, but I wanted to really try them out, and they worked brilliantly, you guys. I'll put a link to this below. But the reason that there are clippings, because you know I normally put a tarp around the base of whatever it is I'm shearing, is because I really clearly wanted to show in that video what it looked like, and it just wouldn't have worked with a white tarp underneath that. So I've got these clippings to clean up. There's not a whole lot of them, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I'll continue to work on this end. Over here, you guys, I think I may have already pointed out to you that I potted up the bay tree, some pineapple guava, a little Miss Figgy, and I want to show you a couple of things. If I can do it without impaling myself on these head shears. So Stuart, let me go back in here. This is kind of some of my uglies, you guys. But look at this Miss Figgy. It came back. I'm so excited. It came back, and I happen to know that once it gets hot, this is going to grow like gangbusters. Now over here, Stuart, I don't know if you can contort yourself to get in here, but looky there. This was a pineapple guava, Bambino pineapple guava from the Southern Living Plant Collection. I did not think this made it, you guys. I cut it back hard, and look at those little green buds on there, those little green projectiles. That's so exciting to me. So that tells me that it's got really good, strong root development, and it will come back and hopefully be beautiful and very vigorous and a nice gray juxtapoint against this glossy green, winter green boxwood. Now, I had something different. I can't even remember what I had in this broken pot, whatever it was. It didn't make it through the Arctic blast. So I repotted it with some of these olive trees. And by the way, recently I saw some olive trees at Lowe's and I think at Home Depot, but I'm pretty sure at Lowe's. They were small, but I had a number of these smaller olive trees that I took out of the greenhouse this year and at my friend John's, and I brought them back and I repotted 2 or 3 of the smaller ones into this one bigger pot, and I'm really going to try to sculpt them a little bit more this year because I really want to define the architecture of the trunks. And then at the base I planted some of this beautiful creeping thyme that you may recall in some of my other videos and stills. It turns a fabulous purple color in the wintertime. So by the end of the summer, I anticipate that that will spread over the entirety of the surface of this pot. And I just do love the broken shard quality of this. I think it reminds me of Native American ruins. My husband is kind of into anthropology and archaeology, and it kind of reminds me of that. And of course, I've got it mulched in gravel. Now let's talk a little bit about gravel. Gravel is a very subjective thing. You guys know that I love it, and I love all forms of gravel, all kinds of gravel, but I don't necessarily like them all together. So in my own garden, for example, I only use this, I believe it's Earth Naturals from Lowe's, pretty much exclusively. Now, indoors, if I was using some, I might use some black stone, some black gravel or something along those lines, maybe even white for a different kind of look inside. But because I want them to harmonize with the gravel that I've got in the pads and in the beds, I want to use the same thing, pretty much the same thing in the same color palette, because I think that creates unity and harmony with the rest of the garden. And I really don't want anything to kind of stand out. So if I had white gravel or something, I think it would really scream that it was different from the rest. Now, that's just my thinking. You may like the contrast of different kinds of gravel and different colors of gravel, and by all means, you do what speaks to you in the garden, because my way isn't necessarily the right way, it's just the way that I do it. So you guys have your own style and your own predilections when it comes to those kinds of things. So something else that I'm doing is, okay, well, let me kind of regroup here, Stuart, for just a moment. So you guys for the longest time have been asking me about these lattice work plant supports in my garden, and I never could really give you a good answer on where you could find them because there was no place to find them until now. So this is another thing in my QVC line. These are going to come in 3 different finishes. This is black. They're going to come in a galvanized metal, In fact, Stuart, if you want to kind of slowly pan over there, you can see one in the galvanized metal that matches the buckets perfectly. I love it when they match another feature. And then I don't have it here to show, but they're also going to come in a burnished copper, which is really high end. Now there's a million different ways you guys can use these. I would love for you to comment below on how you would use them in your garden. Here's just a couple of different ways, but I love the way this looks against these black Titan poles. Those are from Gardener's Supply, but look, I planted in this pot, which is weatherproof. As promised, I told you I was going to do it, and I did. I transplanted a couple of those baby cardoons that finally had germinated as part of my bucket brigade planting, and I transplanted them in here. And then, because I told you I wanted to do a gray montage, look, I've got these garbanzo beans planted around the edge, and these I think are going to twine and kind of climb this metal tutor just beautifully, this metal support. So it will both be very decorative and very beautiful. And then around the perimeter, I have this French tarragon. So this will all get big, it will be mature and be gorgeous once it's mature. But until it does, this plant support will kind of hold its own. Again, as soon as I know when those are going to be available, I will let you know. Now, another thing, because I told you I was really trying to consolidate a lot of my pots this year, and Mother Nature made it easy because so many things died. I had in this, I think I told you, I had an Arizona cypress topiary that had 3 balls. It died, I cut it off, and now I'm transplanting its contents. And one of the things in there was, be careful backing up, Stuart, there's a bucket right behind you. Got it? Okay. Stuart and I, we just, one thing I love about Stuart is he's like a little kid, and he constantly just marvels of the beauties and the wonderful qualities of just nature in general. He's like a little kid seeing things for the first time. Aren't you, Stuart? Yep, you kind of are. Okay, so I'm going to plant. I've already planted one bunch of it. Let me come back here because I need to get my scissors. If I can find them, and maybe I can't. Shows why I need to have my gardening apron on. But I'm going to plant some of this creeping woolly thyme. Stuart, if you can show them the batch that I just planted here. I'm planting this along the border for it to creep over the edge. It was in that pot previously, and I'm going to plant some here. Now, I've got, because it wants really wonderful drainage, I'm amending the soil here, which, by the way, I've got clay soil, and clay soil is really nutrient dense. So I don't really have to worry, especially for herbs that don't like a lot of supplemental fertilization. I don't have to worry about that too much, but what I do always make sure that I've got, and that's good drainage. So what I'm doing is adding some coarse builder's sand to the mix. Anytime I want to have really good drainage to something, alliums, lilies, thyme, Mediterranean kinds of plants, then I'll add some sharp, coarse builder's sand, not play sand, which is finer. And I'll mix that in with the existing soil. And I'll put that in place. And there's already some gravel in here. Now you see that there's some winter kill on some of this thyme, but that's what I was looking for my scissors for. I'll clip that out, and pretty soon As soon as it warms up, it will start spilling out over the edge and I think be really beautiful, because I need something to spill out over the edge and I want it to be in kind of a Mediterranean language, which is why I had that rosemary here before, that Chef's Choice rosemary, which lasted for so long until the Arctic blast and then it was gone. And Stuart and I were just commenting that now the wind is starting to pick up. It was really beautiful and quiet this morning, and there was just no telltale gust of wind, but now it's back like an old friend, an old penny that keeps turning up. Okay, so all of these now are pretty much in position to bloom. The poppies, the allium, I may move around my pots a little bit and do a little bit more with them. You can see that some of the iris, I think I pointed out the other day, the iris are starting to get big buds on them. And pretty soon, like for example in the back, the sunshine ligustrum behind these emerald green arborvitaes, that's starting to come back. All of this with warmth and the wonderful rain we had will really start to come into its own. So the only thing that I'll have to do then, after cutting back the rest of that tall phlox, I've done my pruning, I've done what transplanting I'm gonna do, and then the only thing that I will have remaining, in addition to just a little bit of tidying up, the only thing that I'll have remaining to do is to just mulch, okay? And then, you know, I'll show it again, I've showed it a million times, I love this Happy Grow Landscapers mix because it just creates a really fine textured base, and what it can do is just cover a multitude of uglies. So, you can see right here, I just toss some of that in place, I'll spread it around, and I'll have this beautiful homogeneous look all up and down the border. And that'll be it, really. Then it will just be ready to strut its stuff and just be absolutely gorgeous and wait for the color to arrive. Once I get down this mulch, I'll probably start planting some zinnia seeds and some other cut flowers that I want to come in to replace the things that will have faded from bloom over time, and I will do that. But for right now, once it gets all mulched, all beautiful, I think it'll be really pretty. I appreciate your help in the garden. Now it's just a waiting game. So I'm gonna finish mulching this, and I'll, in the thumbnail, how about that, Stuart, in the thumbnail? We'll put it looking all pristine and beautiful. So right now I'm gonna finish up. Thank you guys for helping me.